Welcome back. While I was saving the video, I created a couple of records in the sample address table just to, because it doesn't make any sense to show a grid without data. So you have to start out somewhere. I put a couple of sample records out there, and I'm going to really quick test that store procedure on this side to make sure it works. Let's see. I thought I had it out here. Let me refresh my objects, make sure I can see it. There we are. Sample address select. Execute. There's no parameters, so I should get back both of those addresses. I get back both of those addresses. Let's look at the state select to make sure I get my states. And I get all my states. Very cool. We'll talk about state ID versus state in the address table, but for right now, both of those work. My DAL is set. I'm ready to create my presentation, which is cool. Let's go over to my presentation layer. I had under volunteer, I have sample controls, and I'm going to create a new thing called sample address. It's not a class. I want it to be a page. Let's see, web form. I'm going to give the master page. It's actually going to be a content page, and it's going to ask me what my site master is going to be, which is going to be masters site master. Okay, so far, let's close everything else out, and for right now, I'm going to make this new sample address my startup page. So when I look at this, I should just see, for right now, I should just see the master page. Takes a second. So it's good to test step by step to make sure you're not missing anything, a reference, what have you. Okay, so I should see nothing but my master page when it finishes building. And there's my master page. So far so good. Let's go back over here. I'll bring up the page again. Let me bring up the toolkit. The toolbox, excuse me. You gotta stop the project if you actually want to make any changes. Toolbox. There we go. And again, you can search instead of having to peck around. The content belongs under the content 3 tag or under the main content. If you're going to use the sample page, if you put it up here, it'll be the top of the screen. I'm going to bring over a RadGrid. Okay. Now this RadGrid is going to be a little bit different. This RadGrid is going to be a little tricky because I've got to use template columns. I'll explain what those are. Let's go over to the table real quick, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. In the sample table, I want to bring over all those columns. So let me go into the design of the table because I'm going to cut and paste. And once I'm in the Telerik side, it puts me in a modal form, so I can't bounce back and forth to my other class, but I can go to here. You'll see what I mean. Let's go to the builder. Let's go to the split. Go into the smart tag of the grid. Turn off auto generate. Go into edit columns, and I want to display every single one of the columns that are in this stored procedure or in this list, right? So address ID, I'm copying it. I'm going to add a bound column, and the data is going to be that, and read only is going to be true, because I definitely don't want to edit that. Okay, for the rest of these, I'm going to do a template column. I'm going to add a new template column. Again, the data, that's going to be the data field. Add a new template column for address line 1. Add a template column for address line 2. Add a template column for address line 3. And this is tedious stuff, but maybe I should have picked a different kind of example. Anyway, add a template column for city. Enter the data. For state, this is where the big payoff is going to be on state. Add a template column for zip. And add a template column for zip 4. Excellent. Okay, let's go to this, and look what it did for me. First, I've got an error saying I need it doesn't have the right, what do you call it, skins. You'll see what that means. It's giving me an error on skins. I don't have a reference for it in my reference tag. Okay, I know I got that somewhere. So let me save this. I'll go into not manage skills. Where did I put it? It was under common sample contact or sample. There we go. I've got to register the assembly. Excellent. And then in UC addresses, that should be the same. That's cool. Okay. I've noticed that whenever I bring in the skins, that it requires me to close and reopen the project. Let me do that. I'll pause this and close and reopen the project. Yeah, that's what it was. So the rendering, I didn't have this tag in here. So even if I close and reopen this, it just doesn't work. You have to close and reopen the project. It takes a minute. So here we are. I've got columns. I should probably have column headers in there. Notice I don't have any headers in the columns. We'll figure that one out. As a matter of fact, let's do that now real quick. Let's make sure we have headers. I go into the smart tag again. Go to edit columns, and for every column that I have, let's say address ID, I want to make sure I have header text, which is up here. Active flag. I probably don't want to use the database name. I'll use just active. This template column. Well, okay. I'll copy this over a couple of times. I don't know where attachment column came from, but I don't want an attachment. Let me remove that. Address line 1, address line 2. Cool. Maybe I fat finger that one. Address line 3. This one's city. This one's state. Zip. Zip 4. I'm going to call it zip plus 4 because it looks better. Excellent. Got my columns. Address ID is not going to render, or it will render, but it'll be, you'll see, it'll be turned off. You won't see, it'll be, will be turned off. No, it'll be read only. Let me make that visible is false. Now it'll be, it won't be there, right? Active flag, the rest of them, they're all there. The data fields are there. Now, these are template columns. Here's what this means. You can override the way these things are rendered when they're rendered on the screen, or when, depending on the state of the grid. The grid itself could be in edit state, could be in insert state, could be in select state. And depending on the state, you want to show different things. For instance, when I show this, the addresses, the state I don't want to have. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Let's say, let's go to the grid, and I'm going to call this RadGrid address. And on needs data source, I'm going to create a new event. Excellent. Okay, let's go to sample addresses, to the back end here. Now I have to do, I have to instantiate a new BLL. So SP, before we do that, I gotta call my using Vaultier dot business logic layer dot VT, using Vaultier dot domain models dot VT, excuse me. Excellent. So now down here, I can say SP sample address BLL equals new SP sample address BLL. No parameters. Okay, so for the data source, I could just say RGrid data source equals BLL.list sample addresses. No parameters. And as long as those data columns match up with what I have in my business logic layer, should work. Let's give it a shot, just for now. I'm sure I did something stupid wrong, but let's, first shot. I should see my 2 addresses. It normally doesn't take this long to open up the screen. It does this because it's building. There's like a build that's happening. Okay, that figures. So I've got 2 addresses. It does look like I have 2 addresses, but I don't have data in those addresses. Wonder why. Okay, so let's take a look. And am I doing something wrong here? Nope, it's calling needs data source. Let's step through it. I have a feeling I know what it is, but let's step through it anyway. Just to make sure in the back end there's no parameters. I don't want to do a execute. I want to do a modify. Nope, no parameters. This should work. Okay, so I stopped it. It's going to call sample addresses. Sample addresses comes through and calls the DAL. The DAL is going to go against the sample addresses. Excellent. So far everything looks like it's going to work. Let's take a look at list. I'll add this to the watch. List should show me 2 things. There's 2 things there. Looks right to me. So there's the first address, there's the second address. So the data layer is actually working. I probably did something dumb, like had white fonts or something like that in my grid. Let's see. Data source is there. There's 2 things in there, and yeah, you know what? There's 2 things there, but maybe the columns aren't matched up. Let's take a look. Let's go over to sample addresses again. Let's close this output stuff. There we go. So address ID. Don't need that. Active flag, filter control, unique name. Interesting. I don't see the data name there, or data field. Yeah, there it is. Perhaps it doesn't. It needs the actual control that you're going to render. Template column is it's expecting a control to render. So let's try this. Let's say ASP. Oop. No, it's looking for item template. There we go. Item template. ASP checkbox. You know what? Let's use the rad checkbox. Rad or Telerik. Maybe there isn't one. Let's see. Checkbox list. Checkbox. Okay. So I guess just panel ASP checklist. ID equals CHK active. Run at equals server. Let me think. Okay. Checked equals. Right now I'm going to just say true because I wanted this thing to render. So I'll tie it to the actual data in a second. I want to see 2 rows with 2 checkboxes and 2 rows. If that's true, then it tells me I need to wire up the rest of my item templates. Okay, let me take off the breakpoint. Run through it. Yep. So I've got the rest of these have to be the item templates have to be put out for them. Let me do that. I'll tell you what. Let me close this one for now, or stop this one for now. I'll finish this up in the next video, and we'll do the state as well. Thank you.